Hey guys, I'm Tammy and welcome back to my channel. Today I've come ready with 23 sewing patterns that I really wish someone had showed me when I first started sewing. These are going to be perfect if you want to start practicing your sewing skills but you don't want to buy physical sewing patterns. Let's get into the first category, which is tops. So this is the Lunar Tank sewing pattern by Helen's Closet, and it's a really simple tank top to make. It has a really simple loose fitting style and I like how easy it looks to throw on. You can actually sew this in knit fabric, so it's going to be really comfortable on the skin. This pattern teaches you how to sew a knit neckband and armband. If you've never done that technique before, this will be a great pattern to try that technique with. This pattern comes in two lengths, so you can either sew it with like a shorter cropped vibe or at your natural waist. Super easy make. I think that will take less than an hour to sew, so if you want something quick to make, that is definitely a pattern you should try. The next sewing pattern is the Rori wrap top by DIY Daisy. I love the look of this top. So it's actually a very simple top that has a ruffle detail on the front, and then you also have a waist tie to cinch you in all the way round. It is actually also reversible, so you can either wear it with the V wrap at the front or you can wear it with the simple bias bound neckline at the front. The way you finish the neckline on this top is you use bias binding, so this is a great pattern to teach you how to do that technique if you've never done that before. The next top pattern is the Etty Camisole, which is one of my own free sewing patterns. It's a really simple top to make. It has a scallop neckline detail, which is a really fun, interesting detail to sew if you've never done that before. This pattern teaches you how to sew lining on a top because the bust section is fully lined, and then also it has really pretty dainty skinny straps, and if you've never sewn that before, again, this is a pattern to try. The next pattern is the Eva Linen Top by Fabric Store. It's a very simple project to sew, so it feels like a very easy wearing top with that tie detail on the front. I think it makes it look really special and unique. It feels really easy to throw on, and I can imagine wearing this at the beach. I like the fact that it has sleeves, and then obviously the back is nice and simple. This is a great top if you want to sew something but you don't want to mess around with fitting, because obviously you can just tie it as loose or as tight as you want. Any sort of lightweight fabrics would work perfectly for this top, and it doesn't really matter if it's see-through if you're wearing it on the beach or as a cover-up. The next pattern is the Core t-shirt by Closet Core, and it's a really nice simple t-shirt pattern. It has a classic crew neckline detail, and then it has a nice simple boxy silhouette. I personally find t-shirts really easy to sew, and again with a pattern like this you're going to learn how to sew a knit neckband and then also how to add a cute patch pocket detail on the front. I know this feels like a very simple basic pattern, but actually when you're sewing these types of garments, that's where you can really understand the construction techniques and perfect making really professional looking garments. I mean, t-shirts go with anything, so making something as classic and simple as this will just get so much wear in your wardrobe. So the next category is dresses, and the first one I have to share is this wide strap maxi dress by Peppermint Magazine. I remember sewing this pattern when I first started sewing, and honestly it was such a simple pattern to make. It has a really simple square neckline detail, and the fit of the garment is really loose. It has side slits as well in the skirts. It's going to be really easy to move in. The back of the dress also has an elasticated neckline, so it teaches you how to use elastic and insert that into a casing. I just love how effortless this dress feels. I mean, I knew I wore it so much when I first made it. I haven't worn it in a while because the fabric that I initially used isn't really my style anymore. I like the fact that they've used a really bold colour, and I think that would be perfect for summer. The next pattern is the Hana bias slip dress by Mood Fabrics. It's a very simple pattern to sew. It has a slip dress silhouette, and it has a really simple subtle V neckline at the front, and then you have that really simple skirt which you probably want to cut on the bias to give you a bit more drape in the fabric. I mean, you can wear this as a dress during the day or the evening, or you can even make it as like a little nightie. Definitely an easy pattern to sew. I imagine you can make that in under an hour. The next pattern is this really easy sheared dress, and it's a video tutorial that I shared on my YouTube channel. It's a simple gathered dress with a ruffle at the bottom, and then you also learn how to do shearing on the bodice of the dress. If you don't know what shearing is, it's basically a detail where you use elastic thread and sew it onto fabric to make it have that kind of sheared ruched appearance. Shearing projects in general are really great for beginners because you don't have to fit anything to your body, because the fabric is going to be naturally stretchy when you sew the elastic into it. I also like that when you sew shearing, you don't have to use a stretchy fabric. You use woven fabrics like cotton or linen that are really easy to handle if you're a beginner. Definitely an easy dress to make if you want to make something that looks really professional. The next dress is the Everyday Dress by Peppermint Magazine. This dress has a really nice slouchy fit, and it feels very relaxed on the body. It has two neckline options, so the back is rounded fitted and the front has a V-neck, but you can also wear this dress reversible because of the way it's sewn. It also has a waist tie to help cinch you in at the waist and give you a bit more of a fitted silhouette. You definitely can wear this dress without the waist tie. It really depends on what kind of vibe you want the final garment to have. So if you want to make dresses that aren't really form-fitting and they feel a bit more relaxed on the body, a dress like this is perfect if you're after that silhouette. The next dress is the Nora dress by Sew Magazine. This is a really fun floaty midi dress that has 3/4 length sleeves and also a tiered skirt. So this dress pattern actually has a button fastening on the back, so you're going to learn how to sew a button onto a dress. But also it's great if you don't want to use any zips or anything too complicated to have a closure on the dress. If you've also never gathered fabric before, this is going to be a great pattern for you to try that technique on. It's basically when you have a long rectangular piece of fabric that's going to be the skirt or the ruffle, and you end up sewing gathering stitches along the top to help you kind of ruche and ruffle the fabric to make like a smaller piece of fabric on the top and a wider piece of fabric on the bottom. The next category is bottoms, so any sort of trousers, skirts or shorts. So this is the Louise pants by the Fabric Store, and it's a really nice high-waisted pair of trousers. It has a wide leg silhouette and it looks really easy and comfortable to move in. It does have a back zip, so it's a great pattern to learn how to sew a zip if you've never done that before. I personally find sewing zips in the back of the trouser much easier than having to sew a zip fly. So if you want to make a pair of trousers that doesn't involve using a zip fly or anything too complicated, this might be a pattern for you to try. The next pattern is the sports shorts by Friday Pattern Company. I have seen this all over Instagram. It's such a cool, quirky pattern. It seems like a really easy shorts pattern that has a bit more of a sporty vibe. I like how modern and fun it feels. The pattern teaches you how to sew an elasticated drawstring waist. If you've never done that before, this might be a great pattern to try that on. And then you can see the edges are finished off with bias binding, and that's what gives it that bit more sporty, modern look. So if you've never sewn with bias binding before, this might be the perfect pattern to try. The next pattern is the Joggers pattern by Merrick's Art. This pattern actually looks like a mashup of a joggers and a legging, and you never really see that many trouser patterns for free, so I was really impressed to see this one online. It seems like a really simple project that will get you sewing with knits if you've never done that before. So knit fabric is different than woven fabric because knit fabric stretches, and if you've never sewn with knit fabric before, it can be a bit tricky for a beginner, so using a simple pattern like a trouser or a legging will be great for you to practice on. This pattern also has pockets and then also elasticated cuffs at the bottom of the hem, so a new technique if you've never done that before. The next pattern is a really simple skirt pattern, and it's just the silk skirt pattern by Graciere. I have seen so many Pinterest posts of people wearing really simple bias cut skirts that look really silky and fun. There's lots of skirt patterns out there that have this shape, but I like the way this one looks, and this has an elasticated waist, so you don't have to fit anything to your body because it will naturally stretch to your waist. Sewing with silks and satins or anything slippery can be really tricky to work with, so I recommend using simple skirt patterns like this to get you understanding how to work with that type of fabric. So the last category is accessories, and I've got this really easy tote bag by Pearl Soho. It's a really simple bag that basically can go with any outfit. If you've never sewn a tote bag before, it's basically just different types of rectangles sewn together, and sometimes you can actually pre-buy strap handles if you don't also want to sew that yourself. This pattern looks really simple and easy to make, and I bet you can sew this in under an hour. This pattern does have French seams, which is a different sewing technique if you've never done that before to finish a seam. So it will give you a neater finish, and if you want to practice that without having to sew that on a garment, using a tote bag will be a great way to practice that. I can't even tell you how many tote bags I've sewn in my sewing journey. They're really easy to sew, and again, they're great for beginners if you just want to practice something without having to fit anything to your body. The next pattern is the Bow Scrunchie by the Hemming. I absolutely love how adorable this scrunchie looks. It looks like a really simple and easy project if you want to sew something in probably under 20 minutes, but you want it to feel a bit more elevated than a normal scrunchie. It has that really cute bow detail on the bottom of the scrunchie, which just makes it feel a bit more elevated. If you've sewn scrunchies before but you kind of want to sew something a bit different, this will be a great pattern to try. Scrunchies in general are also just really good if you have lots of scrap pieces of fabric that you don't know what to do with, so I definitely recommend using that pattern if you have lots of these pieces lying around but you want to make something wearable that you'll actually use. The next pattern is the Billie Wearable blanket by DIY Club. If you're looking for something oversized that acts like a blanket, this is definitely a pattern to sew. I personally get cold really easy, so I love things that keep me nice and toasty and warm. This pattern looks like it's aimed at beginners specifically, so if you've never sewn a hoodie before, definitely give this a try. It's going to teach you how to sew a hood if you've never done that before, but also how to sew that kangaroo style pocket you always see on hoodies. Again, if you want to make something really simple to sew that doesn't involve any fitting, that you just kind of want to throw on, making a blanket like this that's actually wearable is the perfect solution. The next pattern is a home accessory pattern. So this is the round velvet pillow by A Beautiful Mess. It's just a simple rounded shaped pillow that looks really luxury. I don't know why, I think it's because they've sewn it in velvet, but that rounded shape just makes it feel so expensive and different than a normal pillow. This pattern is going to teach you how to add stuffing into something and sew it closed, but also if you've never sewn anything round, this pattern is going to show you how to sew those rounded edges really clearly, because it can be really difficult as a beginner to get that looking really clean and sharp. So I recommend practicing those rounded edges on something easy like a pillow before you start doing that in a garment. The next pattern is a Boxy zipper pouch, and it's a video tutorial that I also made on my YouTube channel. It's a really simple project to sew. Again, projects like this are really simple to make and they take such little fabric, so if you have any scrap pieces lying around, this is a great project to use those up on. I use pouches for absolutely everything. If you have any loose items just kind of running around in your home, putting them in a cute little pouch will just help organize them. That tutorial teaches you how to do a zip if you've never sewn that before, but also how to add cute little zipper tabs to make it look really clean and simple from the front. So the last pattern that I'm going to share is this bucket hat by the Essentials Club. It's a really simple accessory that can actually be sewn reversible, so you can actually push it inside out and they're both wearable on either side. This pattern is going to teach you how to sew a really simple hat, and again how to sew really neat stitching on the brim of the hat, because that's what makes that really cute circular shape. You can make bucket hats in so many different types of fabrics. It's a great pattern to practice if you want to try sewing something wearable but you don't have to fit to your body. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed seeing these easy 20 free sewing patterns that you can sew to start sewing your own clothing and accessories. In general, I just find free sewing patterns such a great resource if you want to try sewing new techniques but you don't have the money to spend on new patterns. I've left all the links of the patterns that I talked about in this video down below in the description box, as well as fabrics that I personally would recommend if you're a beginner just starting out. So definitely let me know if there's anything else you want to see from me and if you found this video helpful.